Welcome back to Sportsnet Lakers. I'm your host, Chris McGee. Joining me, it's Laker Insider down there, Michael Bresnan, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, Andy Kamenetsky. Andrew?
Christopher.
How are you?
Good. Michael?
Andrew? Michael?
Where's your brother? He's off doing something.
Just checking.
Your brother, man.
Don't you picture the Kamenetsky bros like having lunch together every day?
They live together and they're always together.
Bunk
I
beds?
can't tell you the last time we've had lunch together.
Stop.
Without our parents involved.
Where's your dad, Greg?
Families.
Sorry, Succession just.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you see it yet?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
talk about it later.
Weird kids.
This is a Lakers show. Big news for the Lakers heading into Sunday's matinee
repeat
game
one of the lines.
with the Bulls was the
Only one?
return of LeBron James. James, who had missed 13 straight games, had been out with a foot injury. He suffered back on February 26th in Dallas. LeBron played 30 minutes, finished with 19 points, 6 of 11 shooting. After the game, LBJ talked about how he felt in his return.
I felt okay. Obviously, the rhythm is the most important. I had a couple, drives and the ball got away from me. A couple shots didn't feel as good as before, obviously, but, I was out for 4 weeks. So between that and the wind, just got to get those things back leading to the final stretch of the season. I mean, obviously, it sucks not being able to play, but definitely very proud of the team. When I was out just watching them just compete at a high level, playing the game the right way. Playing, Laker basketball, and the guys, put us in position to be able to go down the stretch and be able to put ourselves in playoff position. So that was fun to see.
What was the injury you're dealing with?
The injury I was dealing with? I tore a tendon in my foot.
And that's normally longer than a 4-week recovery process.
It is.
When did you get a sense of you would have a plan to get you back faster than what the normal kind of routine is on that?
When the doctors told me I was healing faster than anybody I've seen before with the injury.
And how do you feel like you'll be able to manage it with the final 7 regular season games plus whatever comes after that?
It's day to day, obviously. The most important for me is Monday morning. When I wake up tomorrow, I step out of the bed and see what happens, with that. But I felt confident in the workouts that I had this week. And the day after the workouts, when I woke up and I stepped down off the bed, that I could possibly play today. And after my workout earlier before the game, I knew I could play today, just from the long week that I had. But we'll see what happens.
Good news is we get to ride the emotional roller coaster that is the Lakers season together. Lots to unpack from Sunday's loss to the Bulls. The team the Lakers will see again on Wednesday night in Chicago. Let's dive into your top takeaways from the loss. AK, I want to start with you at number 1.
I don't understand why they played LeBron off the bench.
I thought that was odd.
Well, when I saw that he was available and was going to be coming off the bench, I assumed that he was on a really strict minutes restriction. Play 15 minutes, 18 tops. So I'm like, okay, they're just looking to ease him back into this thing. So I understand at that point why maybe you would look to play him off the bench because he's going to play so much. He ended up playing 30 minutes. So at that point, it feels like you're taking a situation that you're trying to streamline with LeBron coming back. At this point, you only had 8 games. And you're making this more complicated by playing him in a way that nobody on the team is used to. It was a very strange decision. I wonder if they were taken so far aback, like by surprise, that he was going to be available for this 12:30 game, that they just sort of overthought it or panicked and decided to play him off the bench.
Brez, you know who had fun?
Yeah.
Pat Bev.
Yeah, he did. And I'm not quite sure what he was doing in the very end. He scored his 10th point. Maybe he's excited about that.
Dagger.
Yeah, kind of a dagger, a little jump hook over LeBron. But a minute left in the game, you're up 10. Don't antagonize the hornet's nest. Don't irritate the hungry bear. AK, he did the too short, the too small, whatever you want to call it. And like you said, Geet, they play again on Wednesday. I know it's going to be at Chicago's home turf. Pat Bev. I mean, LeBron has a very, very long memory. And I have a feeling he'll still have that right up here when Wednesday rolls around in another game that the Lakers need on this roller coaster, as you said, Christopher.
From Pat Bev's perspective, this is just more attention for the podcast. He wins
That's all
either
he
way.
cares about. Yes. I mean, he cares about winning, but he cares about that podcast.
Yeah, you can care about both.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
cares about both.
He cares about both. He cares about both.
He scored 10 points, though.
He did. He did. And he lets you know about it, too. He's elite. AK? There's a DNP out there that's confusing to you.
Yes, Rui Hachimura. He was a surprise DNP, I think in part because LeBron, coming off the bench, ended up taking the designated Rui Hachimura forward minutes. Maybe it has something to do with his minutes have been in decline the last maybe 4 or 5 games. So I don't know if this is something that Darvin Ham had been moving towards anyway, but frankly, I think it's a mistake. They need his skill set at his size on both sides of the ball. I don't understand what he would be doing not playing. Maybe things go back to what had been normal on Wednesday when I assume LeBron's starting again. But I think he needs to be playing. I was very surprised by that.
Brez, did the Rui DNP throw you off? Along with the LeBron off the bench?
Yeah, definitely caught me off guard for sure. And that kind of leads me to my next takeaway. AD had only 8 shots, okay? That to me is too low, all right? No doubt about it. You know, defenses are really trying to trick him. They're stacking up against him, really. And that's going to end when LeBron gets back to full health and everything. But 8 shots is not enough. And kind of a weird game. Again, LeBron coming off the bench and Rui not playing and just trying to figure stuff out. The last game of a homestand. But look, especially when Vucevic gets escorted to the locker room for good in the second quarter.
Yeah, you thought they'd draw.
That should be AD fun zone time, right? But instead, he's averaging 17 shots this year. He didn't even get to that halfway point with only 8. They got to definitely take a look at that. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
You know, AD shot count. I feel like he kind of got lost in the shuffle. And they're down a lot last night. A lot of threes they had to shoot. He's got to get more than 8 attempts, though.
All right, Brez, you had. Did you want to jump in there? Did you have something?
Well, I mean, if you're looking to get AD the ball best place possible, you know who's better at that than anybody? LeBron.
There
you go.
You know what would help? Play AD and LeBron together a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Just
Back
saying.
to your first point. Got it.
Just saying. Brez, you mentioned Anthony Davis, and here's a look at the final numbers for the Lakers superstar duo. They only combined for 34 points. That's not going to get it done. 6 of 8, 3 of 6 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. Following the loss, Darvin Ham spoke about the challenge ahead for his squad.
It's not so much what you do, it's how you do it. And just with us, we've prided ourselves on being efficient with whatever time we've been given. Whether that's film being a practice, whether that's a short film and a little bit of court work walkthroughs, or that's an even smaller dosage of film and getting out there efficient, working on a couple of different things. We'll have an opportunity to have some shoot-arounds. We've already kind of switched the gears way earlier in the season of treating those as little mini practices. So there'll be times and opportunities to make sure we're all on the same page and, you know, re-implementing him back into the lineup. And, you know, he's a savvy veteran. One of the greatest to ever do it over 20 years, so it's not going to take much.
It's obviously great to have him back, you know, but sometimes it's kind of like, you know, you feel like we put someone in and someone goes out, so it's kind of hard to get a really good rhythm, you know, as a whole unit. Like even with D'Lo out, you know, it's hard. You know, we just need to get healthy, and you know, like I said, we're very happy to have him back. We just got to get full and healthy, and you know, get a rhythm with one another.
So us coming out playing Lakers basketball, I mean, it's not a two-man show. We got other guys who, you know, make our job easier when guys are making shots, and then we're playing off you know, off fast break points and not taking the ball out the net the entire time. Then we're able to flourish. You know, both of us. So. Just come out and just be, you know, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and all the other guys is going to be themselves, and don't overthink it. Don't put too much pressure on ourselves. Just go out and just have fun and play basketball.
So go back to yesterday or even the night before. I mean, the thought was in the narrative out there and the debates and the questions about LeBron James, or would he come back for a couple games left in the season? Will he play at all? Does it matter where the Lakers are? All of a sudden, he's doubtful to questionable, and he's playing. It was kind of a big surprise for everyone, Brez.
Yeah, I thought it was great. You know,
it was awesome.
It's always funny to see players beat the timeline. You know, and that's why you don't see a lot of timelines these days. They're out indefinitely, or the week to week, or day to day. But somehow a timeline got out there that he was going to play the last few. That was the key word, few games. I don't know about you guys, but to me, few is like 3, maybe 4.
Standard.
He came back with 8 games left. So I think he liked beating the reports that were out there. Definitely a surprise. Good to see him out there. He admitted it, though. He was like, look, I had 5 turnovers and only 2 assists. It doesn't happen a lot to a guy like LeBron James. So I think even he was like, good to be back out there. He'll want to be better. And guess what? He will.
What was interesting is he had sent out that tweet last week where he took umbrage to some of those reports that Brez was talking about.
He didn't like sources.
Right. He didn't like sources, didn't like the timeline that was being put out there. And these were just rough estimates. Like nobody had put him on anything definitive. And he was like, I speak for myself. I had been concerned that LeBron was actually behind those timelines and was like, hey, everybody slow down. I don't know exactly where I'm at. I had no thought that he was actually going to be ahead of that timeline. So yesterday was rough, but at least, it's good to have him back, to have that extra time. It's a nice surprise.
Let me ask you this, AK. The stat line was fine. It had been 5 weeks since he played, and if you think about it, he was hurt also before the All-Star break, came back, played a couple games. So there's going to be some rust and working our way back to game shape. How did it all look to you, team-wise, LeBron-wise?
Team-wise, I thought they looked disjointed for a lot of the reasons we've already talked about. As far as LeBron, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by how he looked. He was definitely rusty. He looked like a guy who hadn't played in about a month or so, but he did not look to me like he was actually favoring that foot or he was in any discomfort or that he was physically limited. He looked like a rusty version of LeBron. He had some plays where he looked really good, some plays where he looked like he was catching up. But I was very pleasantly surprised by just the fact that he didn't seem physically limited out there.
And I guess whatever game he would come back, there's going to be a readjustment period for him, for the team. The good news, Brez, if you want to look at it that way, is they got 7 more games together. Better to have the readjustment period now than the game before the playoffs start.
Yeah, I mean, what if he came back with indeed a few games left? That runway is really short before the play-in tournament starts. And look, these next 2 games are massive for the Lakers. I mean, you're on the road. Got to have it. The Timberwolves are right next to you in the standings, and they have the tiebreaker already clinched. So you're not going to get any work done there with the tiebreaker, but you got to beat them. And then the Rockets and the Jazz, 2 games against the Jazz, they've been starting to sit people. They're back to playing Markkanen tonight, I saw. But these are some teams that are kind of beat up. The Clippers, obviously, no Paul George for the rest of the regular season. The Suns probably will have KD back. He's supposed to be back in a couple days. But that schedule allows them some small, minuscule breathing room, guys. But not a whole lot, because there's just not a lot of time. We're less than 2 weeks till the end of the regular season. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, remember, too, the Suns are going to be having their own reacclimation period with KD. Like the exact same thing that the Lakers are going through with LeBron, except the Lakers have more of a head start.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes, but they have an opportunity with this schedule in front of them. They have to capitalize.
And by the way, I thought LeBron was really rich after the game. Some of the things he shared with the reporters that were down there. He said, it was torn. It was a tear. That was the first time that was publicly disclosed. And he also said, maybe I need surgery after the season. 2 doctors told me I need it now. But, of course, he found the one doctor, the LeBron James
he went to the GOAT of feet.
went to the GOAT, and that's why he's playing. Good for him.
All right, Lakers will start their final road trip of the season on Wednesday night in Chicago. Tip-off in the Windy City. Set for 5. Our pregame coverage gets started at 4. If you're on the go, you can always stream the game on the Spectrum Sportsnet app. Access rolls on after the break. Darvin Ham has some tough lineup decisions to make with LeBron back in action. We'll discuss the biggest challenges ahead for Coach Ham in the final 7 games of the season. And coming up, Lakers finish their 5-game homestand.